So my name is David Harewood and I play Sergeant Omar.
David, what's it been like stepping into the multi-billion-dollar video game world of Call of Duty?
Really, really exciting, I have to say. Very, very exciting. I have played every Call of Duty game that's ever come out. So to find myself actually in a Call of Duty game is just awesome. Very, very exciting. And also, I just can't wait to actually play the game. Having constructed done all the mocap and done all the different levels, I'm really looking forward to actually getting my hands on the game and having some fun.
Can you talk about the character you play in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare?
The character I play in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is Sergeant Omar. He is a Marine, and he really is a kind of mission-first kind of guy. He's no nonsense. As far as he's concerned, orders are orders, and if that means putting your life on the line, or if that means crossing somebody, if that means doing something which is extremely dangerous, as far as he's concerned, it doesn't matter. It has to be done. And he leads his group of extremely brave individuals into some really dangerous situations, but kind of leads them with a sense of humor and with a sense of honor. And I think, you know, if there's a guy that's going to be first into the battle and last off the battlefield, it's going to be Sergeant Omar.
What are your thoughts on how far gaming has come since you last worked on Battlefield 3?
Oh my God. I mean, Battlefield 3, it feels like a different era, really. I mean, the equipment was much lighter. I remember when I first did Battlefield 3, it just felt like I was wearing this toilet on my head. The whole camera was everything was just so huge, and at the end of the day, your neck was hurting because the helmet was so heavy. Everything felt so heavy. Whereas now, the advances that they made, it's really like a very light piece of tech, almost like a exosuit. Really, it's kind of it's very balanced, very small, very nimble, and the sound is awesome, and the I can remember when we were actually filming certain sequences when we did Battlefield 3, it was almost impossible to make a mistake. You had to, unless you got to the end of the take, we had to cut the whole thing and start the whole thing over again, because there was no way you could cut into it. Whereas with Call of Duty, because of the technology involved and using multi-cameras, you can cut from camera to camera. I mean, it's really quite extraordinary how it's all put together, almost like a movie, but with almost no perspective. So, although you have a camera right here in front of your head, there's also a camera over here and a camera over there. So you can see that it really is a 360 environment, which makes it an awful lot of fun, because you never quite know. You're always on camera. And you're always, your emotions, everything's always being picked up. So it really has come on leaps and bounds.
Even though like the technology is lighter, I'm sure there's certain challenges when doing motion performance capture. What were some of the challenges on this specific project?
What were some of the challenges? For me personally, because I was shooting this at the same time as I was doing the well-known superhero TV show. So I was having to come on my days off from doing Supergirl. I was having to go to the studio and get the mocap suit on, and I was exhausted. But it was kind of like, you know, as I said, I played every single Call of Duty game. So for me, it was just such an exciting thing for me to do, that even though I was exhausted, it was like, I'm really looking forward to today, because this whole sequence is going to be awesome, and this whole sequence is going to be fun, and you know, you're working with really good actors. It wasn't like it was just the tech and the game that was exciting. It was working with really good actors where you knew you were going to get something back. It was you had actors who were ad-libbing, actors who were making things up on the spot, and even though it was a video game, you really felt that you were communicating and giving and taking with these actors. So it was a lot of fun.
Speaking of ad-libbing, was there room for ad-libbing and leeway for interpretation when working with the other actors on set?
Yeah, and a lot of humor. Yeah, for me, the guy, it was Eric and Jeff who plays Ethan, the kind of robot character, and he was forever just throwing stuff in that just came up to him, and he was always kind of making us laugh. And so, what's great about Taylor and Brian, the writers, and Taylor, the creator, if it was good, they'd say, yeah, go with it. Let's keep that. They weren't rigid with their scripts. They were always saying, if you've got a better idea, or if you came up with something on the spot, they'd say, yeah, we like that, keep that, and do that again, and let's have another one of those, and always giving you the option to kind of to add new material. So that's also really exciting, because also that stamps your individuality on your performance.
What are your thoughts on Infinity Ward taking the battle to outer space in this installment?
I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, again, you've got, space is it's a very inhospitable environment. And if you think that, just traveling to space is difficult, but fighting in space, it's doubly difficult. So you've got zero gravity. You've got Taylor was explaining today how you have this new piece of tech which we have, which is called a grappling hook, and the whole premise of Call of Duty has always been, find cover, flank your enemy, take them out, move on to the next level, and to be able to do that in zero gravity, where you have to where your cover is at, could be on the roof, could be on the wall, could be another human being. I mean, it just adds a whole new level of fun to the gameplay, and there's some of the artwork in the show is going to be awesome. So it really does bring a whole new level, a whole new level to the Call of Duty franchise. But at the same time, it is still very much bullets, guns. Let's take these guys out, and a hands-on first-person shooter, but with the added element of this unfamiliar environment.
How have you seen video game storytelling evolve over the years?
I think they've just become much more narrative-based, much more story-based. I mean, before it was, I think, A to B, press A, press B, and go here and do this, go there and do that. You were instructed to go and through the levels of the game. Whereas I think with the video games we have now, particularly the more free roaming video games, the open world video games, the player really is free to wander around and kind of take a look around and take his time and make choices. What's wonderful about Call of Duty is that there are choices and consequences, and if you choose to press to take this route, you're going to experience the game differently than if you go and you press another button. And I think that's really a whole new level for the Call of Duty franchise, in that you as the character, also you're not just a recruit. Mainly, when we play these games, you're a recruit and you work your way up. Whereas here, you are commanding an entire ship, and the choices you make affect thousands of people. So I think that's going to add a whole new level to the experience of playing the video game.
When working in the video game space, is that any different from your Hollywood roles?
I don't think so. I mean, working on stage is very different to working on screen. Doing radio is very different to doing voiceover work. So each new genre of the industry, for me, has its own peculiarities and things that I'm attracted to. I particularly like the video game world, because, as I say, I'm a gamer. I've been gaming for nearly 30 years, so I know what it's going to be. I know what it's like to kind of, go running and gunning. So it's everything from imagining the sound, everything from imagining what you're wearing, what these guns are going to sound like. For me, it's just a whole 360 immersive experience. So I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience of working on the game, and then I'm going to thoroughly enjoy the experience of actually playing the game. So it's doubly exciting for me.
What video games did you play growing up?
God, you're going to get me now. So I did all the FIFAs. I was a big football FIFA fan. I I did a lot of driving games, so I did all of the Grand Prix games, all of the just Need for Speed, mad into Max Payne. I played all the Max Payne games. Going back before that, it was, I remember the old tabletop video games and the Asteroids, and we're talking about when it was real arcade. Going putting your 10 pence and 20 pence piece in the arcade game. So I right back to the whole tennis, crazy tennis, stupid thing. I've been literally playing games since they were invented.
How does your family, what does your family think when they see you in a video game like Call of Duty or Battlefield 3, or nieces and nephews when they play the game?
What's really funny is that I get people on Twitter saying, "Man, were you in Battlefield 3?" Or I could have sworn I saw you in Battlefield 3, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And I tweeted my picture of my likeness from the game. I tweeted it a couple of months ago, and it was getting some likes, and then I suddenly realised people think this is a photograph. So I edited my update, and I said, "This is not a photograph. This is my likeness in the game." And people were like, "What?" Taking a second look and going, "Surely that's a photo." That's how amazing the rendering is in this game. It's just extraordinary. It just looks like someone's taken a photograph of me. And I'm going to tell you, I was playing Battlefield 3 online one time, and I'm not a huge fan of online. I know I prefer campaigns, but I went online, just kept getting killed. I was getting killed for like 3 days, and then eventually I kind of got into the environment, and I started getting better at it. And at one point I jumped into this Jeep, and I looked around, and this Jeep, and every single avatar was me. It was just like the driver was me, the passenger was me, the two grunts were me. So it was just really, really cool to just think that obviously people are identifying with that character that I was playing, and hopefully it will be the same with Omar.
So going back to what you were saying earlier about jumping from show to show, how does this work fit in when you're working on major league shows like Supergirl?
Well, I say luckily we've managed to make it work, but it's been pretty full on. But in a way, it's been a great way to keep you alive, keep you interested, keep you engaged, because working long hours on a TV show can get, it can be a real grind. And for me to have to come back to this every couple of weeks and work with the guys, work with the team, and do a different voice, a different character, just kept me on my toes, and was just really, really exciting. So I was really grateful that I had this to keep popping back to.
Do you prefer mocap over regular live action filming, just for the freedom and the creativity you get to use?
Prefer mocap? I don't know. I mean, there's nothing like getting, doing a nice chunky close up, on camera, and having, really nice stuff to do on a film camera. But as I say, as a gamer, there's nothing quite like the experience of putting your heart and soul into a mocap session, knowing that thousands of people are going to render it, paint it, light it, the sound's going to be done, the music's going to be done, the effects are going to be done, and at the end of this whole process, it's just going to look extraordinary. So it's whereas with a movie you shoot it and you experience the craft on the day. This is different, because you're going to be, not only have I experienced the craft on the day, but I'm then going to be able to experience the craft, months later, years later, on a little console, watching playing the game. So I can relive that experience again. So it's going to be a lot of fun.